Your child does not have to watch the TV for the TV to change the room. That is the part many parents never hear. The cartoon can be playing in the corner. The news can be murmuring from the kitchen. A show can be running while nobody is really paying attention. And because the child is not sitting there staring at the screen, everyone thinks it does not count. It is just background. But to a young child's brain, background is not always background. It is another voice in the room, a voice that does not pause when the child looks up, a voice that does not notice when the child points, a voice that does not answer when the child makes a sound, a voice that keeps talking over the small human moments where language is supposed to grow. And that is the real problem. Not just noise, not just screen time, not just too much TV. The deeper issue is what the TV quietly replaces. A child reaches for a spoon. The parent might have said, "Spoon?" The child drops a block. The parent might have laughed and said, "You dropped it." The child points at the dog. The parent might have turned, followed the gaze, and said, "Yes, the dog is sleeping." These moments look tiny, almost too ordinary to matter. But early language is built inside ordinary moments. A baby does not learn words only from lessons. A toddler does not build attention only from educational toys. They learn from repeated human exchanges. Look, point. Sound, response, smile, pause, return. The American Academy of Pediatrics has emphasized that young children learn best from hands-on exploration and social interaction with trusted caregivers. That sentence sounds simple, but I think it carries a warning many modern homes miss. A child does not only need words in the air. A child needs words aimed at them, words connected to their face, their action, their emotion, their timing. A television can fill a room with language, but it cannot follow the child's eyes. It cannot notice the half word. It cannot wait for the child's answer. It cannot turn a dropped spoon into a conversation. That is why background TV is so sneaky. It does not always look harmful. The parent is still there. The child is still playing. The house still feels normal. But the room has changed. The parent's attention is being pulled in small pieces. The child's attention is being interrupted in small pieces. And the conversation that could have happened becomes thinner. This is not about shaming tired parents. I understand why the TV goes on. Sometimes the house feels too quiet. Sometimes the adult needs noise. Sometimes the parent is exhausted and wants one familiar voice in the room that asks nothing from them. But this raises a bigger question. What if the TV is not mainly stealing peace? What if it is stealing the little turns? The small back and forth moments where a child learns, my sound matters. My pointing means something. My parent heard me. My world has words. Because when background TV is always talking, the smallest voice in the home may have to compete for the room. And very often, that smallest voice belongs to the child. The most expensive thing background TV takes is not silence. It is timing. A young child may look at a cup for half a second, point to the window for 1 second, make a sound that almost becomes a word, hold up a toy with the tiny expectation that someone will notice. These moments are brief. They do not wait politely for a commercial break. They appear, then disappear. And if the adult's attention is split, the moment can vanish before it becomes language. This is why background TV is different from a normal household sound. A dishwasher does not tell a story. A fan does not change scenes. Rain does not suddenly shout, sing, and sell something. Television is designed to pull attention. Even when you are not watching it, part of your brain keeps checking it. A new voice, a louder laugh, a sudden song, a change in tone. And the parent's eyes flick away for just 1 second. But 1 second is often exactly where a toddler was trying to begin a conversation. I think this is the part that makes background TV so invisible. It does not usually destroy a whole afternoon. It shaves the edges off hundreds of small exchanges. A question that was never asked. A sound that was never repeated. A face that was not followed. A toy that was not named. A little gesture that did not become a sentence. Researchers have observed this. In one study, 32 infants and their mothers were observed for 60 minutes at 8, 10, and 18 months of age. When background TV was present, mothers used fewer words directed to the infant. They used fewer different words. They asked fewer questions. That matters because a young child does not only need to hear language. They need language that turns toward them. A television may say thousands of words in an hour, But those words do not bend down to the child's level. They do not match the child's pointing finger. They do not slow down after a confused face. They do not celebrate a half sound as if it matters. A real person does that. A parent can turn ordinary life into language. Up, open, hot. More? You found it. That fell down. These are not fancy lessons. But to a child's brain, they are custom made. They arrive attached to action, emotion, eye contact, and response. That is why a quiet parent-child moment can teach more than an hour of talking from a screen. Not because the screen has no words, because the screen has no relationship. And language is not just sound. Language is social. It grows in the space between two people noticing the same thing. A child points. The adult follows. The adult names. The child looks back. That shared triangle between child, adult, and object is one of the small engines of early learning. Background TV can weaken that triangle. Not always dramatically, but quietly. The child may play alone a little longer. The adult may speak a little less. The room may feel occupied, but the connection becomes thinner. And this is the lesson I would want every tired parent to hear. You do not have to talk nonstop. You do not have to narrate every second. You do not have to become a language teacher, but protect some spaces where your child's smallest attempts can reach you. Because sometimes the word your child needs most is not coming from the television. It is the word you almost said when the room was quiet enough for you to notice. The answer is not to turn every parent into a screen police officer. That is not real life. Real homes are messy. Parents cook. Parents clean. Parents answer messages. Parents get tired of being needed every second. Sometimes the TV comes on because the adult nervous system needs a break too. I understand that. But the goal is not guilt. The goal is awareness. Because once you know what background TV takes, you can protect what matters most. Not all day, not perfectly, just intentionally. Create small windows where the television is not allowed to compete with your child's attempts to reach you. Start with the moments that carry the most language. Floor play, meals, diaper changes, bath time, the first hour after coming home, the last hour before sleep. These are not empty routines. They are language doors. A child points to food. A parent names it. A child pushes a toy car. A parent says, "It's going fast." A child spills water. A parent says, "Uh-oh, it spilled." A child looks at the door. A parent says, "Daddy's home." That is not a lesson plan. That is a living classroom. And the teacher is not a screen. The teacher is the relationship. This is where I think calm Japanese-inspired homes offer a useful lens. Not because every Japanese family lives without television. Not because there is one perfect cultural rule. But because the deeper habit is respect for the room. A room has a purpose. A meal is not just food. A bath is not just washing. A quiet corner is not just empty space. The environment is treated as something that shapes behavior, and that is the lesson here. If the television is always on, the room is always partly somewhere else. Partly in the cartoon. Partly in the news. Partly in adult drama. Partly in a world that does not belong to the child. But when the TV is off, even for 20 minutes, the room returns to the people inside it. You hear the small sound. You notice the pointing finger. You catch the almost word. You answer before the moment disappears. And slowly, your child learns something powerful. My voice can change the room. My parent can hear me. My little signals matter. That is the kind of confidence language grows from. So do not begin with a dramatic rule. Begin with one protected window. 20 minutes of play with no background TV. One meal with no screen voice in the room. One bedtime routine where the only voices your child hears are human voices that love them. Then watch what changes. Not perfectly, not instantly, but quietly. Does your child look at you more? Do you speak more without forcing it? Do you notice gestures you used to miss? Does the room feel more available? If this video made you realize that background TV may be taking more than silence, write "lost words" in the comments. Write "lost words" if you want to protect one no TV window today. And tell me which moment you are choosing. Playtime? Meals? Bath? Before sleep? Your comment may help another tired parent realize they do not have to change everything. They only have to protect one small space where their child's voice can be heard. And if you want more calm, science-backed baby psychology that helps your home feel lighter, Subscribe to this channel, because childhood is not built only by what children watch. It is built by what answers them back.